Mike Noel here, Blockchain Weekly. It's Wednesday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, 11 o'clock in beautiful downtown Phoenix, Arizona. That means it's time to waste another perfectly good hour talking about all things blockchain. Thank you, Mike, for the introduction, and thank you, Shindig, for this awesome event that you put on for us every single week. It's quite a thing that they do here. You guys, when you're together, you can actually join in and talk to one another in the audience. You can form a little group if you'd like, and point and laugh at the funny looking guy on the screen. You can get together, talk about things blockchain while you're listening. Talk about business. You can talk about different types of things. You can ask questions here, and please, we really want people to ask questions. And you can also, if you feel like it, come on up on stage. If you have your video activated, we'll bring you up on stage. You can ask your questions and talk with Matthew here in a moment. Matthew May, the crypto CFO, is online, and kind of a timely thing. I know I'm working on some of my taxes and trying to get things going, and I do have some questions this time around as far as some of my holdings in crypto. How does that affect my taxes, and what do I need to pay? We all want to keep straight and keep things going as far as that is concerned, because it's just nicer not being in jail and not being in trouble with the IRS. Blockchain Weekly. So let's look at the week. What has been happening this week? It's been quite a week. It is April. There are some events coming up first that I want to talk about a little bit. Blockchain Conference Silicon Valley. This is the third annual blockchain conference, and that is April 17th in San Francisco. This is the original blockchain conference, and it's held in a couple different places around the globe. I think it's in Silicon Valley, New York, London, and a couple of other places. But April 17th is this month. It's going to be in San Francisco. If you want to get there, reach out to me, Michael at blockchainconsultants.io. I do have a discount code for you there. It's going to be a great event this year. And Jeremy Gardner, Mason Borla, Alana Goldmert is going to be there. She's a global CRO for MetaMax. This is an interesting company, one we need to look at in the near future. Anyway, Blockchain Silicon Valley, April 17th, New York, April 19th, Toronto, April 24th, Chicago, April 27th. If you're near any one of those cities, go to blockchain-siliconvalley.com or just shoot me an email at michael@blockchainconsultants.io, and I can get you some discounted tickets. Next week is an interesting week. Crypto BlockCon is in Los Angeles. This is the second annual Crypto BlockCon. It happens downtown in just 6 days. I will be facilitating. I think I'm moderating 2 panels, maybe 3 panels at Crypto BlockCon this year in Los Angeles. It's going to be interesting this year. Lots of things happening in Los Angeles in the next couple of weeks as far as events is concerned. Crystal Rose with Sensei is going to be there. She's probably one of the most interesting speakers that I've seen recently, along with Bill Quigley and a couple of the others. Ben Marks is going to be there, Block Trade Capital. This is going to be a good event if you're in Los Angeles. I will be out there a little early. There is another event on the 2nd, which is the Global Blockchain Conference in Santa Clara, which is April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So Blockchain Global Conference, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of next week. And then Crypto BlockCon is the 4th and the 5th of next week. Lots of really interesting speakers at Global Blockchain Conference. That's going to be an interesting one. It is in Santa Clara. Who is going to be there really quickly? Come on, Mike. Who knows? Doesn't say on this one. I'll find it later. Anyway, Lots of events to go to if you're in Los Angeles, if you're in New York in April. Come see me. If you need tickets, reach out, Michael at blockchainconsultant.io. I have a couple of tickets, I think, for Crypto BlockCon and a couple of tickets for the other events. So I'm more than happy to give those out to the first come, first serve. My hat is off today for a gentleman. He has a website called Master the Crypto. MasterThe crypto.com. Very knowledgeable guy. And I spent some time on the website, looked at his guide to Ethereum hard forks, Ethereum Classic, Ether Zero, and Metropolis. Interesting insights into Ethereum and some of the hard forks that we're going through, some of the things that we're seeing. Of course, those of you that have visited and listened to Blockchain Wakeway from time to time understand that I'm much more interested in Ethereum, smart contracts, rationalizing workflows using distributed ledger technology and decentralization than some of the other types of technologies out there with Bitcoin. And while it's all blockchain, I mean, blockchain definitively is just a way to reach consensus. Distributed ledger is a different thing. Distributed ledger is what gives us Bitcoin. Smart contracts and ERC20 tokens are the next level that gives us things we can do if then that arguments for money. Interesting things that are going to happen in the next year. Just keep in touch and keep in the know with what is going on. The Merkle came out, interestingly, with an article that I thought was really interesting here recently. It's a new era of crypto trading. The future success of cryptocurrency hinges on embracing decentralization. I think this is really some of the first time I've seen it out in the wild and in the press. But cryptocurrency hinges on embracing decentralization. Decentralization threatens a lot of centralized organizations that we have in existence today, and it's getting some pushback. I happen to think it probably is a better way of doing things in a lot of different cases. And we're seeing a lot of centralized organization. Noel's Law, the first thing that a centralized organization will do when confronted with a decentralized mechanism is trying to centralize it. And a lot of that's going on right now, a lot of cavitation, where we have a decentralized mechanism that's very efficient and very effective in this application, but someone wants to control it, so we have to put an overarching layer that's sitting on top of it. And I think the Merkle hit it right on the head with this article. The future successes of cryptocurrency hinges on embracing decentralization. I think if I were you, I might look at that article up and give it a quick read. Oh, yeah. Interesting thing also on the Merkle that I read, and this is actually from yesterday. Blockchain startups dominate seed funding according to global data. And they, in this article, they dived really deep into seed funding and what's going on, what blockchain technologies are going in with Series A, Series B, and they. The assumption that they've come to is that there's still a lot of use cases out there that haven't been discovered or haven't been looked at or haven't been put into place as far as blockchain is concerned in businesses and different types of use cases. And a lot of this funding is going towards that. That kind of gives us a kind of a feeling that we're still at the beginning of this, which is really interesting to me. It's not mature. We have all these things that we're doing. We're beginning to go into businesses. We're doing processes that are 1,000 times quicker and 100 times less expensive. Yet we're in an industry that's still emerging and still changing and still finding other places where this technology can be applied and be used. I think this is very exciting and it gives us a lot of good news for the long term and the short term. Now, going into, it's been about a quarter after the hour. That is my opinion as far as what has happened in the last week in cryptocurrencies And again, my opinion and 50 cents will buy you half a cup of coffee at Denny's. Well, maybe half a cup, maybe less than half a cup. But I really want to get on with our guest today, Matthew May of Acuity. Matthew is known as the crypto CFO. And a lot of questions going on today about, I bought a bunch of cryptocurrencies. Hey, Matthew, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Hanging in there.
Good to see you. Good. So a lot of questions we have about people that have come on board and said, look, I bought a bunch of cryptocurrencies back in 2014 when they were, 10 cents a piece, and now they're trading at $10,000. I've just rediscovered my wallet. What do I do now? That's a big problem.
Right? That's what everybody's saying. It's a first world problem. Most people, those people have.
That's definitely a first world problem. Gee, I just woke up this morning and there's $1 million in my wallet that I didn't know was there. What are my tax ramifications and what do I do now?
I think
there's also
like 50 Cent telling people that he made a bunch on albums. So we got to be careful who we listen to there.
Yeah, 50 Cent. What you want to go into that a little bit? Maybe some of our viewers don't understand what happened.
He just claimed that he had accepted Bitcoin for his album sales several years ago, and then he misplaced the wallet, and then he found out he had $7 million or something like that. Ridiculous. But I think it's been disproven as an urban legend, much like many of these claims. So my favorite stories are the ones where people lost their private key or they through the computer. I think there's two pretty high profile ones, a landfill in Australia and a landfill in the UK that have a computer with purportedly $100 million of crypto at some point on it. So never born. So
that would be worth digging up some garbage, I would imagine.
Yeah. It makes crypto very much like the gold rush days in California and those two landfills, at least. People digging for gold. So
digging through the trash for gold. I'm a miner, as you know, so miners are a little different than that. But yeah, it's an interesting thing that is going on. That is for certain here in America today and in the world. We have a lot of things happening, a lot of things to be familiar with because a lot of regulation and a lot of things that are going on to keep us from participating in things that are global. Sometimes that's good, I think. Sometimes that's bad. But overall, I mean, we're participating. We're making money. I have several friends that, bought cryptocurrencies way back when it was almost nothing, and now we're sitting on fortunes. I have several friends that I know that have had millions of dollars in cryptocurrency at one point, and now have 500,000 in cryptocurrency because of all the volatility within the market. How do we keep track of things? How do we keep track of what's going on? What's the ramifications here? What's the easy way to do this? And how do we keep from having a taxable event when we go to Starbucks and buy a cup of coffee with our Bitcoin card?
Well, right now in the U.S., I mean, the IRS has come out with some pretty clear guidance now, at least in 2018, that anytime you do a crypto to crypto exchange or a crypto to fiat, the crypto to crypto, the IRS has come out with pretty clear guidance. I mean, you're just going to have to file an 8949, which is a form that just tells you how much what you sold or what you spent on products and how much your basis was when you started on it. There was a clarification that came out in 2018. People had questions about crypto to crypto exchanges, so going from altcoins to Bitcoin or Bitcoin to Ether. And the IRS has clarified that and said that is a taxable transaction. So people are having to track everything now. Every time you trade, you have a taxable event. Every time you spend crypto, you have a taxable event. And you have to recognize either capital gains or capital losses based on your basis. And it's not the neatest thing. And this is in the United States, of course, we're talking about here. So that's not ideal, but that's the world we're living in, and that's how we're helping people deal with it.
Okay, so a form 89 8949. Tell us about that.
That's right.
Is this something that we can take care of, or is it something that we have to reach out to you?
Sure. I think, well, we don't do taxes. So we just help companies with their bookkeeping and accounting and help them guide them through these things. So there's not, hopefully not supposed to be an advertisement for us. So we're just trying to help out. But there's four software technologies out there that are kind of leading the pack to help people, some for business and some for individuals. There's three primarily business applications. We're seeing Balance and Verity and Libra kind of lead the way with an application to help track this for businesses. And then there's a site called cointracker.io that's really leading the pack, I feel like, for individuals that are trying to keep track of that. So there's people working on software and technology solutions for this every day, and we're helping folks kind of vet those. We've met the leadership at Balance and Verity, so I can kind of speak to those people's credibility. I haven't met the Libra and the Coin Tracker folks yet. So
Valence and Verdi, is that what you said? Is there a website for
yeah,
them?
Verity. Yeah, Verity.com, and Balance is balance with the three at the end instead of an E. So
EERITY.
Verady, Verady is Verity. So they actually have built a blockchain that is basically an API call on all the blockchains. So you can go to one common place to pull information. So accounting firms are using them to audit people's books. They have their claim to fame by working with one of the biggest processors of Bitcoin and helping the audit firm validate what their holdings are. Balance comes out of the Consensus Group, and their focus is mostly on ICOs that want to provide transparency on what their token population is looking like. But they also have a plugin. They look like they're going towards trying to replace a QuickBooks or a Zero. Libra, I know enough to be dangerous. I don't know those founders, and I tend to be cautious before I meet the founders before I recommend a technology. But we are seeing CoinTracker on the consumer side be really popular in tracking some of the capital gains. They also have some integrations with exchanges already. I think they have about 9 exchanges that they integrate with, so they can actually not only track your wallets, but also track your exchanges through the API integrations that they have. So those are the 4 I'm watching at least. And those 2 are definitely the top 2 with their leadership, Balance and Verity, if you're a business owner.
Okay, and that's great information. So let's go back to CoinTracker and kind of look
Sure.
at that. So CoinTracker is for the individual that has cryptocurrencies. Either you're invested, you've made some investments, you've bought some cryptocurrencies, you are working and receiving cryptocurrencies in exchange for work that you're doing. And in that case, would there be a 1099, or would you just basically fill out the what was it, the 89? Fill out.
So I think what I'm seeing is there's a 1099K coming if you had over $20,000 of activity at Coinbase. But I haven't heard of the same thing coming out of Gemini because they're a trust. I think they're regulated a little differently. So the only people I understand that are giving 1099s are people that are subject to the money transmitter kind of rules, like Coinbase. So if you transacted or you traded over 20,000, you should have gotten one of those already, and you would have seen it, and it shows your trades by month.
Okay.
Other than that, it's going to be a self-reporting scenario, and you've got a lot of. I mean, you've just got a lot of new. It's so new that a lot of people don't know that they're supposed to send you 1099s, even if they are. So you can self-report your basis into CoinTracker. You can put items that aren't in systems that aren't around anymore, or that aren't showing up in there. So they do have a manual workaround in there. But they're a free service until you get to unless you want them to create the 8949, and then that's when they get you to pay.
Okay. And I don't think that Not going to be very much. Probably fairly reasonable.
I think it's less than $100, so it's for people with substantial transactions. It's actually pretty handy. We'll see. They seem to be focused on the consumer markets, and the 8949 appears to be their primary product. So if for individual users, that's the leader in the clubhouse.
Very good. I'm looking at the website. It's very interesting, and auto sync your transactions. They're going to keep track of everything for you, and then let you know at the end, so that I'm assuming. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you just think mint.com for your crypto, that's kind of what that one looks like. It just kind of aggregates everything. So.
Okay. Awesome.
I mainly power tested it with ERC20 tokens and Ethereum. I have not power tested it for Bitcoin yet. I'm a little concerned because of some of the nuances and differences between the two, but it's still the leader in the clubhouse.
Okay. That's gives us kind of a bit of a pause when you say that, but it's such a new industry that, it's just, I don't think that there's any really clear answers out here, which is part of the problem, right?
It is, and there's lots of good people working on it. So,
absolutely, we appreciate you being on Blockchain Weekly today and helping us kind of sort through some of this, because there's just a lot of information out there. We really don't know, who to trust and who not to trust. Let's talk a little bit about Verade, VERAD1.
Okay. So,
and what are they doing?
So Verade has built a blockchain called Veranet. Veranet actually the best way I can explain it is kind of an overlay of other blockchains. One of the problems with trying to access blockchain information is you have to access them all individually, and then there's no common language that you can access them. So if you want to access Litecoin and see what's going on in Litecoin, you have to do one thing. If you want to access Bitcoin, you have to do another. So they've built a blockchain that has a protocol, and the best analogy I have to it is like giving you an API interface to all the blockchains. So you can call in a common language, and you can call across blockchains. And I believe they're built across Litecoin, several of the Bitcoin forks. I believe Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, and Ethereum. And I can't remember the roadmap that they had laid out the last time I talked to them. But that's their blockchain offering. And then they have a consumer product for businesses and for accounting firms called Legible. And I believe that's legible.io. And that is, again, a mint.com kind of view, similar to the coin tracker view, except it has interfaces for QuickBooks and Xero for pulling the data over. And I think they have NetSuite on the kind of Q3 horizon, something like that, NetSuite and Intact, something like that. But they're for the companies that are using it, they have that application, and they're in private beta right now. And then for accounting firms, they help accounting firms audit companies that have crypto holdings. Some of these people are getting into crypto, have some public reporting requirements, or they have audit requirements. And so the accounting firms need some way to confirm those balances, and they have a methodology for doing that.
Wow, that was a mouthful. It's quite incredible, all the things that we're needing to do now to track of the money that we're making. Verade, I like the idea. I've seen this done a couple different times where we have an overarching blockchain or an overarching distributed ledger with, you're right, the best way to say it is an API into the other all the other blockchains. So it's more or less an exchange type of an overlay that they're using, and then at that point they can keep track of your wallet, what's going on, and then pull that kind of stuff. Also interesting that they interface with Xero. I know a lot of my friends are using Xero for their accounting and keeping track of what's going on. A lot of the smaller bookkeeping services outside of accountants, under obviously where you guys are using Hero and that kind of thing. So that's also interesting that they interface there, which is really good, really good. You did mention another one, and I do have two questions going today. I want to get to that. But you did mention another one, and that was balance, and that's BALANC 3
Three.
dot com or dot I.
I think it's a .com, but I can't remember. Sorry. And they're more focused on replacing QuickBooks and Xero, so being an alternative that includes crypto and fiat accounting in one place. So that's what their look and feel feels like.
So they're going to be doing it all, right?
That's their plan. They're going to be doing it all. I have a talk with them after I get back from spring break, so I'll see where they are then. So
BALANC 3 dot net. NET dot net.
Okay.
Accounting tools for tokens. Interesting. And so basically, this is a full-featured accounting for crypto. Does it include, other things for small businesses and in invoicing and that kind of thing for QuickBooks? I mean, is it
So it's
every,
been
or is it?
it's been on beta, so I don't know what the roadmap looks like. I imagine that's on the roadmap. Their philosophy is very interesting in that they kind of have a blockchain kind of philosophy of publishing data. So their accounting system has a feature to publish all the accounting information to the token holders. So that's not required, but an ICO company, if they want full transparency, they can use Balance as a way to allow people to see their books. So
Okay, that's interesting. And yeah, what ICOs definitely need to have some transparency going into this. We're not sure what the SEC is going to be doing down the road, and if we have transparency, we understand what's going on. There's less of a chance, certainly, that you're going to be getting sideways with them. I think that the first guys that are going into that field and doing ICOs and doing securities inside the system, my hat's off to them. It's difficult. The accounting is going to be difficult, and thanks to gentlemen like you that are helping companies out with that. Give me a little bit about what you. Well, first of all, let's back up a second. We kind of jumped into the meat and potatoes of the thing, and I'm kind of glad we did. We got a lot of good information out there, but I want to learn just a little bit more about you and who you are and why you got into cryptocurrencies.
sure. I got involved in July of last year after one of the ICOs, a company called Storage in Atlanta, ICO. They did their second token sale. So they did their first token sale in 2014. They did their second token sale in May of 2017 and raised about $30 million. They needed somebody to come in that had a finance mind. All the founders, there were four founders, all were more technical in nature. So they brought us in, me in particular, and we've been helping them ever since really sort out how to do things the right way, from creating bonus programs for the employees to what goes on the W-2 if you give people bonuses and tokens, to how do you deal with your vendors. And they have farmers, they call their miners farmers on their network. They have an active storage network, people in the distributed cloud storing files. So their term is farmers. How to pay farmers with tokens, just a myriad of things. And that's kind of how I cut my teeth, so to speak. And now we're working with about 15 companies between the mining industry, the hedge fund industry, and ICOs.
About 15 different companies. What are the sizes of those companies? What do they vary from? What's the smallest one? What's the largest one that you're working with?
from an asset perspective or a revenue. So we focus on, in the fiat world, companies making about $1 million in revenue. So we really help the S of the SMB space. In the crypto space, I think the smallest ICO was about 2 million in fiat, and the largest was 30 million.
Okay.
And that was what they ICO'd. The crypto holdings are a little larger than that, based on the timing of when those guys did that. So.
And if I wanted to get a hold of you, I'd go to acuity.com, or I mean, how would I get a hold of you?
Acuity.co.
Oh,
.co. And
.co.
yeah, crypto at acuity.co is my email.
Crypto@acuity.co is your email. Very good. Very good. Well, we've got a couple of questions, and then I want to talk a little bit more about Acuity and what you guys are doing there, the services that you offer, and how some of our viewers can get involved. We have a couple of questions here. One is not, I don't have this one on the spotlight, but in the chat field. And thank you for asking the questions. The question is, is Form 8949 going to be issued by exchanges going forward? So is this something that is going to be automatically issued by the exchanges when we're trading crypto, and either for, this guy doesn't take Ethereum, he only takes Bitcoin. I have to make an exchange. It's an even exchange. Then I spend the Bitcoin. Or if I'm looking to pitch my bet and make money, I mean, what are the ramifications as far as the 8949, and what do you anticipate?
Sure. I think it's going to be exactly like day traders deal with in stocks. So you get a form from your broker, they get a 1099B. So it seems to be the popular form for cryptos, 1099K. But that's not to say there won't be some interpretations where you get a different 1099. So I assume you're going to get a 1099 in the future as things mature, and then you're going to have to fill out the form.
Okay.
So I assume TurboTax and all the rest will try to catch up, and if they don't, CoinTracker will crush them.
Well, so what you're saying is that the 8949 is not something we can use in Turbo. We'll have to use a 1099, or
Well, we'll import information like we'd input. Like right now, you get a 1099 from your brokers if you trade stocks, sell stocks, right? And then
right.
you put that into the software, and it shows up on a schedule somewhere, right? Well, the schedule that the crypto shows up on is called 8949. So
Good.
I assume that the softwares will catch up, hopefully soon.
Yes. You know what? I have an inkling that they probably will. Things move pretty fast in this industry. Oh no! Just an update from the Merkle today. The Ethereum bleed continues. The price drops below $450. Let's note that, because today is March 28th, 2018, and Ethereum is trading at $450. That's probably news at some time in the future. I wish I could have bought it at $450. Of course, then people make money, and then we have problems with paying our taxes. I have more an ethereal question here from
Okay.
PMO. And PMO, thank you for asking a question. It has been sitting up here for about 25 minutes, but I wanted to get around to this portion of the hour so we could get to your question. What specifically does decentralization solve for users of cryptocurrencies that permissioned world effectuates?
Wow, that's like for a deep technical guy. That's not for an accounting guy to answer.
That's not for an accounting.
A permission world effectuates.
I
mean, the answer that I and I don't know that I have a strong opinion on this, but I know the people that do have strong opinions on decentralization would say that it's a matter of philosophy and trust. I've heard a good example of a use case of Facebook. Like, why should Facebook own your data? They don't produce any of the content. and they profit from stuff that other people do. And in a decentralized kind of blockchain world, there theoretically could be a Facebook that you owned your own data and profited from your own data. And when posts went viral and drove website, there could be comp back to you. I don't know if it's better or worse. I think it's a matter of philosophy and kind of this mentality and mind shift away from the way things have always been done through these corporate structures, and kind of a more, I guess decentralized is the only word, a more decentralized approach philosophically.
I like that explanation. That was very good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, decentralization is coming. As it turns out, we run our businesses in a lot of organizations, like some old white guys back in 2010 and 2020 thought that organizations and businesses should be run. Um, and we did good. We did really good throughout the Industrial Revolution. And then, as it turns out, most of the world looked at West and said, look, they're doing really good, so let's build all our organizations and run our businesses the exact same way. And fast forward into 2018, we're finding out that the way that businesses were run in 1910, 1920 by guys with last names like Carnegie and Mellon and Westinghouse and Ford and Edison was good then, but is it good today? Maybe not. There's other ways of doing it. Decentralization is definitely an option here. In decentralized mentalities, in cryptocurrencies, and in blockchain, and this kind of stuff is kind of causing a lot of people to think differently about voting and how we register votings on a blockchain, and how do we get rid of gerrymandering, and how do we take some of the graft and some of the sticky bits out of workflows there. So I think it's got a lot to do with it, and I think I think it'll become much more clear as we begin adopting decentralized mentalities and decentralized mechanisms, and education is going to help us with adoption. So, Matthew, thank you for helping us educate people. I really appreciate that. So, I think that's it for questions right now. And if anyone has a question, this is the right time to get a hold of Matthew May and ask a question and get a little free advice. We like to provide value here at Blockchain. We offered a bribe of some free tickets at the top of the hour. Michael at blockchainconsultants.com. I'll be sure and get you out some free tickets, and let's ask some questions of Matthew and get some of the tax questions that you have taken care of. So now we've talked a little bit about what's going on in the industry. We talked a little bit about some of the major players, CoinTracker.io for the individuals, Veraday and Balance, BALANC3.net for some of the more sophisticated investors that have a little more difficult and challenging tax issues. We've talked a little bit about you, what makes you tick, and how you came into this fold. That's always interesting. Let's talk a little bit about your company, what they do other than cryptocurrencies, and why they do cryptocurrencies and how they got into that. Does that make sense?
Sure. We're about 75 folks spread all over the United States right now, and what we found is most people don't need a full-time accountant in their accounting department. That's true for crypto and fiat companies alike. So we provide a fractional resource. So we have bookkeepers, CFOs, and controllers on staff to help in that kind of fractional capacity for folks. Most of our clients are fiat-only clients, but we see that changing. We see, like I said, I think 15 of our clients now have at least crypto holdings or are actively involved in crypto in some shape or fashion. So what we're doing right now on the crypto side is we're supplementing this lack of these technology vendors having any kind of product out in the market, and we're doing a lot of manual workarounds with the anticipation of getting you on those systems. We do lots of system evaluation and making your accounting process more efficient in the long term. So as soon as Balance and Verity and CoinTracker kind of turn the corner, or we get the integrations fully baked with Xero and QuickBooks Online, we'll get people in those methods, and that'll cut a bunch of people time out, and then we'll supplement in other areas.
Great. So, and Acuity is looking to, keep in touch with the different technologies and the interfaces as far as the technologies, and help supplement that in the future. And what do you do for Acuity specifically? You head up a division, or are you? What are you doing?
There's two founders. I'm one of the two founders. I've run the CFO practice primarily for the last 5 years, and I run our cryptocurrency vertical now. But I'm much more hands-on in the last 8 months because we're literally trying to retrofit cryptocurrency to fiat rules in almost every area, from 1099s to W-2s to bonus plans to anything that you could use crypto for. You've got to retrofit it to your fiat accounting. So I've been pretty hands-on with clients, all 15 of those clients actually. So
Good. So, what are you seeing as far as the future for cryptocurrencies? Being someone who's involved in the industry, understands the industry, you're working, you're working directly with companies that are involved in trading or in receiving fiat and receiving cryptocurrency for services that are provided. What interesting things do you see that you can project out into the future that you might be able to share with us?
Well, I mean, one of the things I see is it's cryptocurrency is no longer just a currency. I see four primary kind of either marketing angles or use cases emerging, at least immediately, and I'm sure there's others. But the major ones I'm seeing, some of the cryptocurrency try to be this store of value, so the replacement for gold and silver for the millennials. So you see Bitcoin and Litecoin kind of going that way already. To where they're not really trying to be a currency, they're trying to be a store of value. You see the currency aspect, obviously, and you see Bitcoin Cash and Dash really going after that market in a little bit nuanced ways, Dash in particular, but they're going after that currency market. You see Ripple going after Swift, just head on. And then I call Ethereum the blockchain's world's Kickstarter platform, because ERC20 tokens are really Kickstarter campaigns at their core. So those are the four categories I've seen emerge, and I hope that there are more. But it's no longer just cryptocurrency. I don't know. We're going to have crypto store of value, cryptocurrency, crypto Kickstarter. So that's the biggest trend I've seen recently at a macro level. Is I've seen them not. They're creating lanes and they're staying in their lanes. I don't think Bitcoin sees Ethereum as a competitor, for example, like if they were companies.
No, I think Bitcoin might think Dash might be a competitor, but certainly not Ethereum. They're basically
actually think Bitcoin would think Litecoin was a competitor, and Bitcoin Cash would think Dash was a competitor.
Okay. Well, very good. Well put. They're definitely looking at the Internet of Value, where we can take value and move it from one place to the next on the internet. Where Ethereum is looking at the Internet of Trust, where we can transfer trust on the internet through smart contracts and things of this nature. Definitely different things. And Ripple obviously is sticking with the banking industry, and for good reason. And it's getting pretty close to the top of the hour, but I wonder, you had mentioned Swift and Ripple as a replacement to the Swift network. I know a lot of our viewers are not familiar with Swift, and I wonder if you might shed some light on us on what's going on there and what has happened, what has transpired.
Well, I mean, I haven't dug in on Ripple. I know there's a lot of noise. I know the banks invested in them. I know if anybody's going to tackle the Swift network, it's going to be Ripple. But I'm cautiously optimistic that it's a use case there. But it's definitely a high-profile one that people need to dig into. I've spent almost all of my time with ERC20 tokens, so that's where I'm a little bit more dangerous.
Good. Okay. Well, ERC20, that is my fertile ground. Also, we most of the stuff that we do involves ERC tokenization, and we're not doing crowdfunding on most of our use cases because of the SEC and some of the things that are coming down. Difficult to understand where that is happening, and there's going to be some risk involved. I know people have planted, flags along the way and said, "Look, this is the way I'm doing it, Mr. SEC. I have an open door," but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, in the U.S., it's particularly hard. If you ask the CFCT, it's a commodity. If you ask the IRS, it's property. If you ask the SEC, it's a security. And if you ask FinCEN, it's money, and we're all going to jail. So, I mean, you've got four groups in the U.S. government that have not only different views, but contrarian views of what things are in particular.
Yeah, contrarian views on what is going on and how it's going to happen, and conflicting ideations and conflicting advice to people that are trying to use them. I was talking to someone last night. Go ahead.
Sorry, we're telling people to stick with the IRS because they're the ones that got Gotti. So I mean, just go with the IRS first and deal with everybody else later. So they got John Gotti on tax evasion. Just file your 8949. That's what we're telling people. So
I'm just filing my my IRS papers and hoping that's going to be enough. Most of the stuff that we do is utility tokens, so there's no securities. We're actually working on tokens that actually provide services or transmit value in other ways, and we're not
utility.
raising money.
Yeah, utility tokens are depending on the Howey test, and depending which lawyers you ask, they think the Howey test has already been busted. So some lawyers say it hasn't, some has. So it's kind of a crapshoot for everybody. So
Well, yeah, it is kind of a crapshoot for everyone, but we're all in it. There's just way too much at risk here and way too much to gain. Decentralization is going to affect everything. And we're glad to have you in the fold here, Matthew, as a friend of Blockchain Weekly and as a guest of Blockchain. Certainly an interesting interview with some interesting insights. Certainly some valuable information to some of our viewers as far as some of the things that we need to do and how we can get them done. What was it? Coin tracker. Very interesting to me. I'm at the as we close this, I'm going to sit down and take a look at that and see if I can get some of my stuff loaded into there for 2018. Probably too late for 2017, but definitely for 2018. That seems to be something that is going to help me and benefit me a lot. So thank you very much. My hat is off to you, and there you go. You've wasted another perfectly good hour talking about all things blockchain. It went by fast, didn't it? I told you it would.
it always does.
It always does. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's been an hour, but it certainly has. I want to thank Acuity, Matthew. I want to thank you for coming on board, Mike. I want to thank you, and Shindig. I want to thank you for providing this great environment. We're not the only ones that can use this environment. If you have an event that you're going to do, if you're looking at an education piece that you're going to do, if you're looking at an ICO, this is a great opportunity to educate as far as ICO. Lots of different opportunities to use this environment, this Shindig environment. And Mike, thanks for coming on board. Thanks for helping us. Why don't you tell them a little bit about Shindig and what it might be able to do for them?
Sure. I guess I'll close it out here. Before I do, I just wanted to make sure if anyone noticed that in the chat section, one of our attendees, Amanda, was kind enough to put a couple of IRS links in there. So in the chat field, I can't copy it from here, but if everyone pops into the little chat box, it's the second one on your lower screen. She has a couple of a link. The first link is an actual form, and the link to IRS instructions for the forms that we were talking about. So pop in there if anyone hasn't already. They might have seen it already. Just sort of a note there. And I'll just close it out. Thanks for hosting the talk on Shindig. We appreciate it. If anyone's interested, I'll pop up my contact information on the screen in a second. And hopefully we see everyone at the next Blockchain Weekly or any of the other ones. We had 2 clients this week host ICO presentations this week. So, happy to see, that's part of it, using Shindig, especially on the ICOs. It's a good way because there's a lot of questions when, with the ICOs. So it gives attendees an opportunity to actually pepper the company with questions and get them answered rather than just sort of a one-way presentation. So hopefully we see more of those also. But thanks, guys, for using the platform. We look forward to the next one.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Matthew.
Great.
We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.